Okay, here we go. Welcome to vlog number 16 on the Grow As You Go channel. This is the Grow As You Go challenge, and we're on vlog number 16. So this week I want to focus on something specific with a clear message to be shared. And I'm going to share this message through an experience I had last week. So last week, I I was talking to my Tony Robbins coach, and towards the end of the call, I wanted to establish something to keep myself accountable for. And my coach was asking me, what did I want help with this next week? Or what did I want to accomplish? Or what did I want to focus on? And so I'm thinking about life. I'm thinking about the different modalities of life, the different aspects of life. And I was like, you know what? Contribution. I haven't been contributing to the degree in which I would like to contribute. Now, I say that, and I still contribute. However, the degree to which I contribute isn't to the degree that I would really like. And when I say I'm still contributing, I contribute everywhere I go. I contribute everywhere to anybody that I interact with. And I do this by ensuring that I'm bringing the best version of myself to that interaction, to be present, to be joyous, to smile, to be grateful, to be in a state where I'm available for them. Now, I'm not saying that I am perfect at this. What I'm saying is I am consciously taking efforts towards this. And I know I can do more. And that theme of knowing I can do more is going to come up in a little bit. So pay attention. This is an amazing story. So I'm talking to him. He's like, well, what could you do to contribute? And of course, I start listing off things that I've already been doing in the past, like volunteering at the Blind and Deaf School, volunteering with the Special Olympics, following up with the Children's Hospital, which I applied to volunteer for but haven't heard anything back yet, volunteering for NAMI. All of these places that I volunteered at before, however, haven't been volunteering frequently. And one thing I notice about these things is that it does take a little bit of time to initiate the volunteering, meaning I would have to contact somebody and schedule something, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. However, I was in a state of really just wanting to volunteer right now. And he starts talking about volunteering and feeding the homeless. There's no shortage of that. And he starts sharing a story with me about his time feeding the homeless people. And I have to admit, initially I was a little apprehensive, and I don't really know why. I was creating a limiting belief in my head that was keeping me from really embracing the idea. But I digress. He's telling me his story, and he's getting a little emotional about it. I can tell that it was really powerful for him. What he did, he was describing finding a homeless person on the road and offering them food and walking with them to a restaurant to get food. And he said he would hold conversations with these people and really connect with them. And he said it was life-changing for him. And so I'm listening to him talk about this, and I'm like, you know what? That's an amazing story. It's an amazing experience. I can do that as well. And he goes, great. What are you going to commit to this week so that on our next call, I have something to keep you accountable for? And I'm like, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And I said, and I'm going to feed at least one homeless person. So I'm making it way too easy for myself. And so I say this, right? I'm writing it down in my little book. And of course, as soon as I finish writing that, I drop the pen and I stand up, energized and also frustrated with myself. Like, one person in a week? I could feed one person in a day. I can feed dozens of people in a day. Like, why am I limiting myself here? What is this going on? What is keeping me from going out and feeding as many fucking people as I can? And I'm on the phone with my coach during this. I'm just like kind of pacing back and forth like, what is going on? What is stopping me from going out and loving other people? Clearly, this is like the thing that I desire most to do. is to go out and love other people. What is so? I was getting lost in the sauce there, like concerned with what it was keeping me. I should just do it, jump without hesitation. And so I'm talking to my coach, and he's like, yeah, I mean, do it right now, go. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. And I hung the phone up on him before I could even say goodbye. And 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 I grabbed my roommate, and I'm like, dude, I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling charged. I was like, I'm gonna go and feed some homeless people. I said, you want to come with me? He goes, sure. So, and mind you, now I got off at 4. I got off the phone call at 5, and I had a meeting at 6:30 with some local real estate people and just a local community. I wanted to introduce myself and meet these people. Anyway, I digress. The reason why I say that is because I had in basically an hour and a half to feed some homeless people. And so while I did have a timeline of an hour and a half, typically my day, I'm off at 4 o'clock and I come home, I work on the computer, I do stuff at home. Yeah, I have free time to do what I want at home until I go to bed at like 9 o'clock, right? So I got 5 hours, right? You know how many people I could feed in 5 hours if I go to the right spot with enough food? Dozens of people. There's nothing fucking stopping me except myself. And so, anyway, fast forward, me and my roommate, we get in my car, we drive, we start heading towards downtown. And while we're heading towards downtown, of course, we're keeping our eyes open to see if we see any homeless people. And I stop at the nearest fast food restaurant, and I buy some tacos. And I bought, I think, a dozen tacos. And so we're driving with the tacos. We're getting the closer and closer we get to downtown, the more homeless people we start to see. We end up seeing one homeless man riding a bike. I pull over, I grab the bag of tacos, and I start running to like catch up with him. But he was on his bike. He got ahead of me. But as I was running up to him, I passed another homeless person, and I said, "Hey, you want some tacos?" And he goes, "Sure." And so I hand him some tacos. He was stacking up on food for the night, I guess. So he already had his arms full. And so he was definitely on a mission, and I was able to help him in that moment. Gave him a couple of tacos. He said, "Thanks." I said, "You're welcome." And I walked away. Walked back to the car. We start heading down the street a little bit further, and my buddy sees another homeless woman. And she's like in the corner behind, in like this alley area behind some buildings. So there's no traffic or anything. She looked like she was setting up for the night. She had some like clothes and some blankets and stuff. She looked like she was about to set up. So my buddy, he gets out of the car. I stay in the car. He grabs the tacos and he walks over. And I can see everything that's happening from the car. And of course he tells me what happens later. And he walks up to her, says hi, very friendly. She's like, "Hi." And it's obvious he has a bag of food, right? So he's like, "It's kind of cold out here. Would you like some tacos?" And she goes, "Oh yes, please, thank you so much." And she was so appreciative and grateful and so present with him in that moment. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, here you go. How many do you want?" She's like, "Two." He gives her 2 tacos, and he's like, "What's your name?" I forget her name, Liz or something like that. And he shares his name, and he's like, "Well, I hope you have a good night," and gives her a hug. And I'm seeing this happen from afar. I'm like, "Whoa, this is so amazing." It's such a beautiful interaction in such a short amount of time. And she was so appreciative and grateful, and there was this deep connection there. Comes back to the car. I'm like, "Whoa, dude, that was amazing." Watching that from afar, I can only imagine what that was like in the moment. And we're like getting more charged up, right? And so we start driving. We see another homeless person. He's walking. He's got like a garbage bag, like a large black garbage bag, walking down the street. Taller gentleman. And so I pull over. I get out of the car with the tacos this time, and I'm running up behind him, with tacos, like saying, "Hey, friend," trying to catch up to him. And he turns around. And he's got this big smile on his face. I've got a big smile on my face. And he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I go, "Living the dream, dude. How are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm great. Thanks for asking." And I go, "Man, it's kind of cold out here. Do you want some tacos?" And he goes, yeah, I'd love some tacos. I go, sweet, man. I go, how many do you want? And he goes, two should be sufficient. I go, great. So I reach in, I give him two tacos, right? And I hand them to him in his hand, and he says, thank you. And he goes, dude, thanks for feeding the homeless. I go, my pleasure, man. And as this is happening, as I'm interacting with him, he is gazing into my eyes. Like, it is a deep gaze, total vulnerability, like total, like no blockages, no emotional blockages. He's just presenting himself to be completely seen, like so deeply, so beautifully. And I rarely get those types of depth, that type of depth in eye contact with people in my day to day. Of course, I'm always open to that, and I try to, uh, I try to present myself with that openness, offer that for people. And even me at times, even I'm not open enough to be that present, that to share in that depth of eye contact. It was really powerful, really fucking powerful. He just laid himself out to be seen completely. He's like, this is me. This is who I am. And there was no judgment, no inhibition in that depth. And all of this was happening in like 30 seconds, right? I was like, whoa, really just wow, amazing, right? And I left. I said bye, thank you. We left each other. I go back to the car. I'm like, whoa, that was an amazing experience. I hadn't experienced such a depth of eye contact, so readily available. And so, anyway, we keep driving. It's getting a little bit later, closer to 6, right? And I had to get back for that meeting. So we're heading back home, and we're like, all right, we've got 4 tacos left. Yeah, 4 tacos left, something like that. And we're like, we're just gonna give the rest of the tacos to the last homeless person that we see. And so we're driving, and we see a guy walking his bike. So we pull over. My buddy gets out of the car with the tacos and walks up to him. And he's like, "Hey, man, are you hungry?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm starving." And it was starting to get a little cold out there too. And so my buddy goes, "Here, man, we've got some tacos for you. Take them, have them all if you want, or if you want to share them with any of your friends, you can totally do that." And he's like, "Dude, thank you so much." And he's like, "Wow, these are still warm." And we're like, "Yeah, we just bought them." And he was so grateful. And so that interaction ended, and my buddy got back in the car, and we drove home. And so we in that whole experience, getting into the car, giving the tacos away, and then driving back, took 50 minutes. 50 minutes. We fed 4 people, which is funny because earlier I was saying that I'm gonna limit myself to feeding one person a week. Now, I don't want to uh like say that feeding only one person isn't good. Doing anything and for the sake of love and contribution, doing anything, it doesn't fucking matter. Doing anything for the sake of contribution and service of others is beautiful and powerful. All I'm saying is, personally, upon personal reflection, I recognize that I have an abundance. I am blessed, and I have an abundance in my life, in multiple areas of life, and I want to share that. That is where I feel the most fulfilled, sharing that. And what I learned in this experience was when we go out and contribute in however form that looks. It could be feeding the homeless, it could be picking up trash in the street and not interacting with anybody, it could be anything from the position of service to other, really self in other. There's no such thing as separateness. But when we approach contribution from that place, we become more energized. And the reason why this is because the universe wants to fuel that type of behavior. It wants to fuel that type of perspective, that type of intent. So, how do you fuel that? Give it more energy. And so I was energized for sure. Ooh, man, it was hard to sleep that night because I was so fucking energized. And so was my roommate. We left the interactions like, wow, dude, that was so much fun. And so the whole point is that we have an abundance, especially living in America. the computer almost crashed. We live in abundance. Most of us live in abundance in America. And if you think you don't, well, then I would challenge you to recognize the aspects of life where you do. And what really is the secret to living is giving. Tony Robbins says the secret to living is giving. And that is so fucking true. The more you give, the more you contribute, the more we love others, the more energy we receive, the more fulfilled we feel. And so, as far as Grow As You Go vlog number 16, the message today is that contribution energizes us. And it is true that the secret to living is giving. And the more we give, the more we feel that love that we're giving. And it doesn't have to be anything specific. I'm noticing that I can do this in my daily interactions just by offering a smile, being present with somebody, ultimate presence. People are drawn to that because it's not as readily given. Another thing too is whatever you want to receive, give. Whatever we want to receive, we give, and we will receive that in return. 100%. So that is my story for last week. Contribution. Contribution is an amazing gift that we have available to us at all times. And so I will leave you with that story. Thank you so much for listening to the entire story. I hope it permeates you the same way that it permeates me. Anyway, thank you again, and I'll see you on the next one.